is up 16%, 11,542 odd crores is the number that you're tracking on the top line. The profit has seen a jump of nearly 60%. The stock has spiked to the day's highest levels with gains of around 4% coming in there. 648 odd crores is the number that you're seeing in terms of TVS Motors. Let me quickly pull up if there were any estimates on the on a TVS Motors as well, but no major tracking on that one. But clearly, a 67% up move in terms of the top line. Revenues have seen a growth of 16%. Let me see if there is any exceptional number that has bumped up the profitability this time around. But till I see that, Avinash, very quickly, your view in terms of the two numbers that are flashing, 648 crores in terms of the profit and 542 odd crores in terms of the top line.
I think numbers appear to be pretty in line and quite good. Hiral. I think I would look at more, numbers like operating EBITDA and the margins. I think that would give a clearer picture. But I think overall, the market seems to have liked these numbers. My sense is that we would like to hear the commentary, from the management, because within the two-wheeler pack, TVS Motors has always been an outperformer. They've always done better than players like Hero Motor or Bajaj. And I think clearly with a fresh, brand new, kind of product lineup expected very soon, I would say that the markets would be very keen to know what kind of product development the company has made and new products expected to be launched. But these numbers are definitely on the face of it looking good. I think operating EBITDA number would be very close, would be very important to watch. I believe that, the margins could have improved because commodity prices have been soft. So some improvement even on the operating side, if it has come, that would be an added plus for the company.
Very quickly, Jay, what are charts indicating? The stock is seeing gains of around 3%. A good buy call still today for tomorrow's trade?
Yeah, within the auto space, Mahindra and TVS are the strongest. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the stock crosses all-time highs past 2,900, 30,000. And the current support for the stock is about 25.50. Against that, this can be bullish. But when it comes to a BTST call, I have Sonata Software. So I'm possibly heading to 394 tomorrow.
Right. So that's with regards to where TVS Motors is concerned. In fact, we're just looking at, there's no other income this time around. The cost of raw material consumed, that number on a consolidated basis is at around 6,933 crores versus a 6,056 crores. No major uptick in terms of the finance cost as well. Your other expenses are seeing a marginal uptick, so that should not be making a major difference on that front. But overall, a strong set of numbers. If you talk about any exceptional item, nothing seems to be coming in on that front as well. So that is interesting to watch out for. If we can just have the EBITDA and the margin number, that's what the street will be waiting out for as we speak, and as even Avinash was mentioning so far. But if I'm looking at any of the...
So the standalone profit...
I think the operating margin, what I'm seeing right now as a part of the turnover is around 12.4% is what I'm reading. But I don't know from the release if this is the same. But clearly, a strong set of numbers. I think let's move on till we get something more on that front. But a strong set of numbers, a good spike coming in terms of the stock. And
the expectation
is also positive.
On a standalone basis was around 731 crore. The profit after tax has come in at 852 crore, as you can see on your screen. Versus the expectation, that's a sharpish spike up. We'll have Puneet come in and give us perspective on that number. Of course, we also await the margin number. There you go. The EBITDA margin is up 44% at 1,332 crore. The expectation was 1,169 crore. So there's a decentish uptick with regard to the margin as well.
And yes, standalone 13.95 is the margin number versus the 11.29 as per the calculation. So it's an uptick of around 265 basis points. Profits are up 75% on a standalone basis. We were talking about the consolidated numbers that were flashing on the screens, and the revenues is up around 17%. In fact, Puneet is there. Puneet, if you could decode for us as to what has worked this time around, because the stock is at the day's highs.
Well, definitely, it's a stellar set of numbers to say the least. You guys have mentioned the numbers. It was expected as 731 crores on a standalone basis. It's come in much higher than that. This might be the first time the company's actually touched any time close to 14% in terms of margins. So it's definitely a lot of factors that has contributed to this. Definitely on the PAT, it's a big beat on a standalone basis, as we can see as well. And while we can decode, commodity cost was one of the key things that has impacted the passenger vehicle makers, but that's not something that TVS has been impacted by in this particular quarter. And we have been seeing, in terms of the cost of materials as well, it's not increased as much as revenue has. So that's a key benefit. The cost of materials in this particular quarter coming in at 6,790 crores versus about 5,988 crores, and that's one key aspect. Employee benefit expenses also not inched up, just about up 7% in this particular quarter compared to the same time last year. Again, revenue growth has been much higher, and that was led by the company's, essentially the sales in this particular quarter. We've seen a tectonic shift essentially in the two-wheeler space, where scooters are outperforming the motorcycle market, and there TVS is in a very sweet spot because they have brands such as the Jupiter that are doing very well for the company. Apart from that, the iQ, which is the electric vehicle scooter brand, has again been transmitting the growth, and it's become profitable, at least in terms of the margin. So it's not diluting margins anymore, at least in terms of the numbers for something like a TVS, and that's one of the key aspects reflecting in the EBITDA margins. Similar trend we've seen, essentially for something like a Bajaj Auto as well. That's one key thing. The sales, as we mentioned, overall two-wheelers and three-wheelers was up 14% in this particular quarter, while the scooter sales were up 27%, and that's helped the margin. So overall, a big beat. We have scheduled the conference call at 4:30 today. So a lot more on the demand environment for the domestic two-wheelers will be seen, something that's